with a new pro wrestling company on the way and more. This is Wrestling Hub. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report for May 4th. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at WrestlingHubOfficial and also follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. During his appearance on Talk Is Jericho, AEW star Swerve Strickland recalled his time in WWE, specifically when his faction Hit Row had their first dark match on the main roster. For me, the first thing was when we did the draft. We were there in Baltimore. We did a dark match. We had AJ wrestle Cedric. But before that, we had like a 2-minute promo live, all 4 of us. They just wanted to see how we interact and stuff like that. They didn't even ask to hear it. They're like, oh no, you've got 2 minutes. Go do your thing. Very rare for all 4 of us. Unfortunately, BFAB would end up being released. As Strickland said, they had the match and everything. Edge was one of the first people to greet us in the back like, we need this product. We need this on the brand. This is the great content that we need. It's young, it's hip. We were like, oh cool. Then the following week, I forget what city we were in, but we flew out. We did another backstage promo with New Day without Big E. Big E was on Raw with the WWE title. Then the week after that, we were getting fight information, and then Brianna didn't have any. We were like, wait, what's going on? So AJ called to make sure everything with the fight info was good. They said no, everything is good. She's not needed this week. Then on the fight, literally mid-fight coming down, your phone starts buzzing and everything. We see that she's released along with a bunch of other releases and all that stuff. We're just like, oh what? Especially as a female that can talk with the guys in the group, this is our Nicki Minaj right here. That kind of put a damper on a lot of things. AJ Francis would then try to check on the status of BFAB's fight, which caused problems for the group. AJ, apparently him calling and asking about fight information for Brianna was like a no-no and stuff. So we had to talk with Vince and Pritchard and Laurinaitis like in the hallway of the arena. It was like a little bit of a scold session, but at the end it turned into being like, oh don't worry, we have a lot of fun stuff, and Vince starts laughing. Basically just AJ, we wanted to travel together, just making sure everybody was good. That's like her sister, but it was mainly on AJ and stuff, and it was like, no, you don't do that. But it turned into a positive way of like, this is what you're going to do tonight, something with Sami Zayn. It's going to be awesome, it's going to be fun. Strickland then noted how the group got in more hot water over AJ's rap about Jinder Mahal. Then AJ did a social media rap thing, and it was deemed offensive. He used an Indian instrumental beat and it was deemed offensive, and he didn't get clearance for that. You know, the red tape you've got to go through to clear certain things you want to do individually on a social media platform. Jinder approved it. He thought it was funny. He thought it was great. He was like, yeah, sure. But they didn't get approval. Then we were getting travel for Survivor Series, then it went away. It got back that we were doing just SmackDown, and that was it. Then that went away, and we were doing SmackDown, Raw, and Survivor Series. Then, literally an hour later, we got calls from Laurinaitis saying we're all let go. So it was just really weird. Speaking about the potential reason behind the releases, Strickland noted, they say it was just the heat within that. I guess there was contract negotiations with B that I don't know about. I think everybody individually had different things they felt like. Overall, there's no point in having the whole group together if there's going to be this person, this person, this person. So they just throw the whole thing away. They were done with it. Following her Philadelphia street fight on Dynamite last week, Serena Deeb appeared on Busted Open Radio and spoke about her role in the company and how it differs from her time in WWE. To be honest with you, I'm embracing both being a wrestler and trainer. I love both. As far as in-ring goes, I'm nowhere near being finished. I've got years left in me. Years. I'm not planning on hanging up the boots anytime soon, so of course, I'm very focused on myself, but I do really enjoy helping others as well. The coaching is definitely inside me still, and AEW is great in the sense that they allow me to do both, you know? I didn't have that before, that privilege before in my other job with WWE, so it's great that Tony trusts me a lot to help the women do both roles. But now, I feel like I'm at, honestly, the top of my game in the ring. Everybody has to make their choices, right? I think the women that do, it shows in their work, it shows in their growth, and how quickly they improve, all of that. I mean, like you said, Mark, you're at the monitor. Guess who else is in front row at the monitor for every match? Bryan Danielson, the best in the world, CM Punk, MJF. That's the difference, right? Nobody's too big to watch everybody's work. I think that's what makes for a great workplace, is everybody helping everybody. I think we have that at AEW. It's great that these guys are here now and just have so much experience. It's a detriment if you are not finding Arn Anderson, Dean Malenko, Jerry Lynn, Punk, Bryan, William Regal. Gosh, we're so lucky to have him. If you're not finding these guys after your match, or I bring my laptop, I'll sit down with Dean and I'll watch my match. Or I'll sit down with Arn if they have the time. If you're not doing that, what are you doing here? You've got to. In WWE, Roman Reigns, the Usos, and Paul Heyman have formed one of the greatest groups in modern times, the Bloodline. While many fans are hoping for a new addition such as NXT star Solo Sikoa, who is a younger brother of the Usos, with Inside the Ropes, Naomi, WWE Women's Tag Team Champion and wife of Jimmy Uso, spoke about her not being in the faction. I do get the Paul Heyman wisdom, and it is a little weird that I'm not in it, because I'm always there with them. I'm always there. I'm always around. I'm always, annoying them. So maybe later down the road, or maybe there's somewhere for me to come in with the boys, with John and Josh, who knows? But definitely something I would look forward to. I would want it to be the right time, and done properly. With them both being third-generation pro wrestling stars, The Rock had an understanding for an up-and-coming Randy Orton back in the day. Talking about these two being in the same locker room in WWE, Bruce Pritchard said on Something to Wrestle that Rock was really happy to be working with a guy like Randy because it was youth, and in that Rock was able to see where he was at that age. I think Rock had debuted at that point, and Rock could look at Randy and go, man, I've been there, I'm a third generation. So you had two third-generation guys in there in The Rock and Randy Orton, so in Orton, The Rock saw himself and understood the pressure that was put on him, and you got to live up to not only your father, but you've also got to live up to your grandfather, and can you do it? Rock was willing to help him along the way. Since its founding in 2019, AEW has grown by leaps and bounds, expanding its programming as well as their roster. While many see them as competition for WWE, Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics compiled Google search activity for this year for pro wrestling companies. For 2022 so far, WWE has held more than 80% of the share of searches among promotions, with AEW in second at 12.4%, New Japan in third at 5%, and so on. Still, the report would show that AEW is steadily gaining popularity. WrestleNomics would also compile a list of the most searched pro wrestlers for last month. According to data from Google Trends, Roman Reigns was ranked at number 1, followed by Brock Lesnar, Steve Austin, Cody Rhodes, Triple H, Ronda Rousey, Vince McMahon, Charlotte Flair, and so on. When it comes to the top 4 AEW stars in particular for that month, it goes Paul White, Paige VanZant, CM Punk, Jeff Hardy, and then Jon Moxley. Speaking of Paige VanZant, the former UFC fighter has been making her mark on AEW programming, as Scorpio Sky said on the Throwing Down podcast that he believes Paige will be a huge star. She's so new, but she's picking up on it so fast. From the very beginning, when she came a few times with Austin and Dan and the others, kind of watched some of the things and more, so the mannerisms and paying attention to the crowd and that sort of thing that she was just naturally doing, and I was adamant. I kept pushing to Dan. I was like, you gotta get her here. She's good. She can do this. And I think she's gonna pick up on it really quickly, and from what I heard, she is. She's training with Gangrel, who's fantastic, but you can't teach personality. You can't teach charisma. You can't teach star power. And that's something she already brings to the table, and she's an incredible athlete, a badass. And I think she'll pick up on the wrestling part very quickly, and it's going to be great for AEW to grab another star. Former WWE writer Freddie Prinze Jr. revealed on his podcast that he is looking to start his own wrestling promotion, saying, "Plan on having this thing up and running in 18 months. That's my plan. There's a way to get it done sooner, but it requires me going to Australia for 3 months and leaving my family. I'm not a big fan of doing that, regardless of how kind and respectful the studio is, unless I was in a position where I had to. I think I want to start it as a 2-hour show. I want my storylines based in reality. I want to give the women and the men equal time on the roster. And then the goal is to bring the show to television." And I mentioned this on Ariel's podcast, but it's important to me, so I'm going to say it again. I want it to be a SAG show, and what that means is I want it to be a union show, which means each and every single one of my wrestlers would be a member of the Screen Actors Guild and be entitled to all of the insurance and medical benefits and retirement plans that entails. When it comes to the upcoming AEW video game Fight Forever, Sports Gamers Online reported that AEW and game developer Yuke are running into issues. Sources have indicated that the relationship with Yuke's and AEW, specifically Kenny Omega, isn't in the best place at the moment. According to those close to the game's development, Omega has found himself frustrated and hating working with Yuke's. One person even claimed that Summit has come across at times like Yuke's was trying to take advantage of an inexperienced Omega in this position. With the game also apparently over budget, some of the originally planned features were either less than anticipated or cut out entirely. Speaking about his tag team with Randy Orton, Matt Riddle told Give Me Sport that Orton has played a big role in teaching him the business side to pro wrestling. What haven't I learned? You know, I feel like I've learned a lot about the business side of things and handling myself, not just in the world of wrestling, but in the world of WWE, because I feel like each promotion, each company I've worked for kind of has a different landscape, from the UFC to WWE to the independent scene and everywhere. I feel like he's really helped guide me through the waters as smoothly as possible, at least for me, because I kind of ruffle feathers all the time. He's been helping me out a lot with that. If you want to see more videos, check out Wrestling Zone, where we do biographies, lists, and more. So far, we've done videos on the Usos' younger brother, Solo Sikoa, Veer, and more. If you want to check these out and others, click the link in the description. And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.